us today, Kathy?
Well, I have something that I just learned that actually shocked me. We've talked about CaseNet before, and I know that you probably all are familiar and you use it maybe for a little bit of your screening with respect to tenants. And I know I've mentioned before that there's been a big push to raise security levels so the average person can't see cases on case level on CaseNet. And I've cautioned you to make sure that that's not your only screening device, although it can be very helpful. Well, St. Louis County presiding judge, Judge Burton, who retired a couple of days ago, before he retired, issued an order raising the security level on all rent and possessions to level 5. So you are not going to be able to search CaseNet to see if someone's currently being evicted or has been evicted recently and that kind of thing. I'm just now reading this. I don't think this is going to apply to older cases, but it's certainly going to apply to current stuff and pending stuff. So you're going to have to make sure you don't just rely on CaseNet to get your information. I think this is horrible. I mean, I'm just horrified by this order. I cannot believe it. I have to tell you. I understand in certain situations raising the security level, like when someone has a stalker, or, you know, that kind of thing. There are exceptions, but to just do this across the board, I think, among other things, it's really unfair to the tenants that pay, because now they're put on the same footing as someone who doesn't pay, you know, as far as CaseNet. You can't tell the difference. So again, as I've said before, even more reason now to have extra screening, be very cautious, use CaseNet, but don't rely on it to be absolute proof that the person is not in the process of being evicted or has been evicted recently. As you know, the eviction moratorium was extended since last we spoke. I didn't think it would happen. The one thing that's good about it is it's kind of kicked the county ERAP program in the butt, and we're seeing a lot of tenants get approval letters and clients being willing to continue cases or hold off on the sheriff or that kind of thing based on these approval letters. We're hoping the funds are coming out quickly too, but they seem to have ratcheted up a gear or two as far as getting that process done. To me, this latest eviction moratorium is all due to the local governments who did not give their money out. I just read a statistic that nationwide, of like $50 billion, only 4% of it has been given out. And I know that we sometimes like to hate the feds, right? But this isn't the feds. This money has been dispersed out to local governments. So it's the state of Missouri, the county of St. Louis, the city of St. Louis, who haven't been getting it done. I don't know if Dwayne's on here today. I don't see him, but he sent me something the other day where EHOC, not my favorite group because I don't like their main lawyer, but certainly a group that advocates for tenants. They're setting up an office, I think, at the community college where people can come in and apply for assistance in the city. And there's going to be other satellite offices. And Mayor Jones, of course, has a lot of ideas. But I'm hoping that this means for those of you who just have straight rent and possessions and tenants who are just not paying rent, that at least you'll be able to weather through until October 3rd and get this money that's being funded out. I still think, particularly with the county, where I know a little bit more about the numbers, that the county has been granted more money than they really need. But we'll see. We'll see how now that they're finally funding some people, how that rolls out. And as always, I'm interested in anybody who wants to email me and tell me they've had a good experience, a bad experience, they got paid, that kind of thing. We've seen some big awards recently. We've seen some awards in the 5 figures for past due rent and that kind of stuff. So that's somewhat heartening. I have a trial this afternoon on a trial de novo where the person supposedly applied for assistance in April and the landlord never heard anything. So we'll see what this guy says this afternoon about whether he really did that, or, landlord thinks he's a liar, and it certainly is possible. It also could be that, the county just never processed him for whatever reason. The city is kind of a train wreck also right now. Because of the new moratorium, the and I think because of the lawsuit that Arch City filed against the city sheriff, the presiding judge in the city is requiring us to have a hearing about whether or not the person is eligible for aid and for the moratorium before we do a sheriff's execution. Chris knows more about how that works, and Chris Bosler in my office, and he has made a relationship with this outfit called Horizon something, and he has been able to get a lot of landlords rent paid through tenant applications to this Horizon organization. We actually have felt for the last few months that the city was doing better than the county as far as actually giving out funds to landlords. We are still able in all of our jurisdictions to proceed forward with evictions that are not for rent, that are for unlawful detainer or for other things. With the latest resurgence of the virus, we're getting nervous that we're going to lose some of our trial settings. Right now, we're doing remote dockets and in-person trials, which is exciting when you have both at the same time. But we're hoping that they're going to move to in-person dockets soon because it's so much easier. But we're also concerned that we might start losing some of our trial dates, particularly for jury trials, because of the resurgence of the virus. So we don't know what's going on. I know there are some lawsuits out there. To go back to the moratorium, there's a lawsuit in New York State. I think the National Apartment Association has a lawsuit. Maybe the National REIA does, I think. And I'm not really sure what the status of any of those is right now, but locally, that's where we're at. Raising the security level in the county. If they file a moratorium declaration, we have to do a motion to strike. In the city, we have to do a motion before we send the sheriff, I think is how it works. St. Charles and Jefferson, we can do whatever we want, and other counties as far as I know. So I've got this trial this afternoon. I got to go get ready for that. Anybody got any questions or anything I can do for you before I go?
I had a question, Kathie. Are we required to take the money if we had a tenant that we don't want to keep?
No, you're not required to take the money, but if you don't take the money, you might sit with that tenant until the moratorium expires. And the way things have been going, there's no guarantee that they won't extend it again. I'm tired of saying I think this is going to be the last extension because I'm always wrong. So I don't favor being wrong personally. I think that what we're telling landlords, if it's not a truly awful tenant, and you can get a big chunk of money, take the money, and then when that period runs out that you get paid for, you can evict them then if they behave badly again, or you cannot renew their lease or whatever. In the county, supposedly they're paying up to 12 months back rent and up to 3 months going forward. So I know that's a lot of money for some of my people.
Are they still requiring people not to evict in a certain time frame? I thought a few months back you said we had to agree to not do anything in 6 months.
No, that I haven't seen that. You can't evict them for the time you're being paid for, which is fair enough. If they just paid you themselves, you wouldn't be able to evict for the time that they're paying for. So.
Okay, I just didn't know. I was reluctant to rent a number of units that I had because of everything that's going on right now. And if I was going to put somebody in, I was going to just strictly do month to month to enable me to have you all put them out if the need arose in the future, is what my philosophy, is the way I was going to look at it. Is that still good in the climate we're in now?
Well, I think, I think it's tough right now. I don't know how qualified tenants people are getting. We seem to be, I wouldn't say flooded with work, but a little busier than we were maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but we're always busier in the summer. And we seem to have, I think that the basic pool of evictions that we do is the people who just don't pay. And there are people who stick their head in the sand and they don't apply for the assistance and, they don't do anything. And those are the same people who don't pay in regular times when we don't have COVID. So I'm not ever really worried about running out of that kind of work to do. I don't know really how you spot those people in advance. I have one friend who says, you know, you do low income housing, you get 10 applications, they all have something on their credit. 2 of them are going to go bad, but how do you pick which 2? You know, it's just, it seems a hard thing to predict to me. Bless you.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. I think I'll be back with you next week. I hope to know more about some of these lawsuits that are going on nationwide by then. Okay. Good
Thank
to
you
see